Maya, this thing's on. What are you talking about? Now this thing's on.
And then
Maya,
Ember
get your ass in here.
You've muted yourself. Oh. Well, I mean, certainly with that attitude, it's not live, Maya. Well, and now it is. Okay, now I gotta. Oh, it's already muted. Wait, what? How is this already muted? It's never
I don't
already
know.
muted. Maya, are you coming in?
Yeah, Maya, what the hell? What's going on? Y'all have the link, right? I will put the link in the chat, and we may wind up with Doug.
Right. So, Mark, what's
Yeah.
your whole thing?
Yeah, sure. So I was once a pastor, an evangelical pastor.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I originally went to seminary, so I graduated from Dallas Seminary in biblical studies, and I wanted to be a professor, but I got hired my month of graduation as an associate pastor for kind of a mega church here in the North Dallas area, and worked there for a year. I was let go for very stupid reasons, and a year was enough for me to see sort of like a lot of hypocrisy and begin to doubt on the church. And then, as a student of the Bible, which I learned Hebrew and Greek and learned how to learn, where I
right.
just kept on, I'm like, there's a lot more to this. And being a Dallas Seminary student, I was very much taught, like, stay away from liberal scholarship and, stick to, like, fundamentalists and all that stuff. But I looked past all that and kept on. I was intrigued by some of the things I learned in seminary. So then, in a matter of maybe 2 to 5 years of not going to church anymore, and then doing a lot of self-studying, I came to realize that I was not only not trusting in the Bible, but I didn't care for any of the evidence for God or lack of, and arguments and all the philosophical BS so I was purely a believer based on family tradition, and then this admiration for scripture, which I still do. I think it's still very much a remarkable work, and that is well misunderstood in today's world, especially given the evangelical lens that most of us are influenced by. And so that's what I'm into, is I sort of like take what I learned from my own studies and try to explain it in a way where people could understand how there's a huge problem in not only trusting the Bible as like the word of a God, certainly not something that's like inerrant by any means, and very wrong when it comes to scientific principles. And then the whole Christianity thing for me is just sort of like Mormonism to Christianity. It's sort of like adopting.
Right? It's very
they call
much
it the Old Testament, but it's not. It's the Hebrew Bible.
Yeah, it's very much. I think that the analogy of like the absurdity of Mormonism to the absurdity of Christianity is a very apt one.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Maya.
Hi.
So that's where I stand. That's what I do. I try to sort of allow people to see that there are some biblical reasons for not trusting your faith.
Yeah.
As paradoxical as that sounds.
Wow.
It has certainly been my experience.
You said something.
Go on,
Mark. Like, how do you understand Scripture?
So, like, when I say biblical,
what do you take Scripture for? Is my question.
I mean, I guess that depends. What are you trying to get at? Certainly, I don't believe that there is a God, much less that if there was a God, that it'd be the biblical God. I think the biblical God depends what book you're reading. It can vary from kind of a giant man that is up on a mountain. His name is Yahweh, and he comes down and he scares people, and he's a tyrannical, evil dude that very much is made in our image, very much like a human that takes vengeance, and it's that kind
Don't
of
forget
God.
white. They're all white.
Yeah, it might even be some kind of
depends.
use
It's like
some sort of-
the original, the OG, as it were, was
Yeah, the
Canaanite.
yeah. So it would have been this
Canaanite guy.
if you've seen
Whatever.
like the Yahweh statues in bronze, it's just some dude. So yeah, so I think that Christianity banked on the sort of like the background of religion that the the people from Israel and Judea had to contribute at the time, and they just sort of adopted it and made their own thing.
At the same time, Mark, it's like you were saying things that I really kind of that find resonance with me, because for a little background, I'm the daughter, granddaughter, niece. Let's see. Let me get them all in there. Granddaughter, daughter, niece, aunt twice over of Methodist ministers. So I'm kind of familiar with that particular aspect of stuff. But I figured out at a very early age that what I was reading in the Bible were stories. And some of the stories were good stories, and some of the stories were rather horrific that I had, well, this is kind of bogus. But they're all stories. And I learned also, because of, strangely enough, because of the tradition I grew up in, which was the social gospel tradition of Christianity, somewhat liberal and all of that. And it was, I was raised to believe, well, study everything, to check into all this stuff. So I learned that the other people had stories. I had a lot of Jewish friends. They had stories about the same goddamn text. And the way they took the text was different.
Yeah, there's
So
a
it
lot
was
of
just
ability back then.
so it's like I came to understand, and this is the way I've approached all sorts of religions, is these are stories that people made up, that people that
Tapioca looks like
used
you 20
their
times a day.
imagination and
I'm looking at my phone.
created gods and created these stories about all of this stuff that are stories. I read The Lord of the Rings as a teenager. It was a story. I read The Silmarillion when it came out. It was a story. I've read Isaac Asimov stories about all of this stuff, and I gave me an appreciation. I listened to music. Music tells a story too, an oral story. But these are all products of the human imagination, and you can take what you will from them. The problem I have with religion are taking the stories and making them into dogma, by which people that rule people's lives by virtue of the simple fact that they were written down. And, while literacy might have been miraculous in the Bronze, or seemed miraculous in the Bronze Age, it's not so miraculous. Once the hard work of actually writing them out And I do think this tracks. Those stories didn't get transmitted through the written word until there were scribes, until there were literate people who wrote them out for people to repeat.
Right.
And the scribes needed to make a living, and somebody needed to pay the scribes, and blah 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 blah. It's like all of this.
Make it
stuff
my
comes
way, I
together
pay you. Yeah.
until you get down to the time of movable type. This is movable type is responsible for the fucking Protestant Reformation in Europe, because you could actually, the Gutenberg Bible, you could actually publish it. More people could see it.
Right.
I mean, you're taking the words of priests and scribes as to what the stories were in the first place, outside of folktales, right? Folktales are completely oral tradition.
Right. And the
But
part that I find fascinating is understanding what were those first contexts, like the way that I read Genesis is trying to make the point of, like, there are these families who are owed these 12 territories because of their ancestors and because it was a blessing. And then all that somehow leads to King David being like the king eventually. And so we're going to justify that this kingdom owes all this land because there's a story that relates how the God provided for that land. And that's how they hold claim of those territories. So if that's what the book is originally doing, then that's 100% irrelevant to our modern day context. You see what I mean?
I gotta get Ember a link here. I don't know. Let me see if I can.
I think Maya, did you?
I sent him a link. He needs to check
Okay.
his DMs.
He needs to check. Ember, check your effing DMs.
Check your DMs, bro.
DMs, man.
FDMs.
DMs. Yeah, your fucking
Get on it.
DMs.
I'm
Damn
sorry.
it.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mark. That you're on a good tip there.
Yeah, no. So just the bottom line of that being that when you look at the original context of these stories, they're 100% irrelevant to our day to day. But religion kind of keeps them alive and keeps on reinterpreting that in order to make it relevant. And so in the process, they invent and do all kinds of stuff with it that perhaps the original author never intended. You see what I mean?
And in the meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
the aphorisms, the philosophies, the like how to conduct your life kind of stuff in there
Mm-hmm.
gets surrendered to the interpretation by the people controlling the narrative of the story.
Yeah.
To basically control the flock, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that the that movable type made a big difference, and the way it like all of a sudden more stories got out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And
by that time as well,
I don't get why this particular story needs to hold particular resonance or import, because it's telling, to me, most of the most fundamental stories are talking about issues of what is the meaning of life, what is the meaning of mortality, how do I reconcile the fact that I'm not here for a long time? How do I reconcile grief? How do I reconcile loss? How do I appreciate joy? How do I appreciate all of these things? And those are really important things. And the biblical stories address them. But so long as you restrict yourself to those and those alone, you don't see other ways of perceiving that.
Yeah.
I mean, it took
Well, what I was
ages and
saying
ages
was-
to develop a I'm sorry, I'm on a little bit of a
I know you're on a
who
tangent.
here,
You let
but-
me say 4 words and then you start talking
Yeah,
again
fuck off,
after the
Beck.
pause. You know, I'll laugh about this
Beck?
because I love you to death, Steph, and you're brilliant. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Back.
Yeah.
I
only
you
had-
get where I'm going here. I think I'm
I
kind
just had
of
a little
on the-
short
at the
statement,
end of
just
my
be a
chat.
devil's advocate. Devil's advocate.
Okay.
By the time there was movable type, there were more literate people, though. So that also would affect it.
How many?
Sure. It's like also, but
Because as
but
the years
also
progress, more
cart,
and more people
horses,
become
chickens,
literate.
eggs, and
Well,
all that.
that's not a monotonic relation, though, right? By which I mean, whoops.
You want to use English? Not all of us went to college, bro. Dumb it
What
down.
did you say?
It's not a
Monotonic?
it's not a strictly increasing thing.
No,
The
no,
number
not
of literate
necessarily.
people, or
It
even
would
the
depend
fraction
on
of
the
literate
area
people.
they are in, how their society is, how
Yeah.
they're raised. There would be so many
I
factors. I can't even
wouldn't be
imagine.
surprised if there were more literate people, as a percentage in the year 0 than there were. Was there a year 0? I guess not, but you know what I mean. Compared to the year 950.
100 or yeah. Well, yeah, there's always a fluctuation as you go
Well,
up.
not recently. There hasn't been. Though. Not for the
we're
last
in a
400 years.
We're in a different place now, though.
Yeah.
Those people back then were like literally like trying to survive.
Oh,
We don't
yeah.
even know what that's like. Even me growing up poor as dirt and having to grow food in the garden so we could have
Yes.
food, I don't even know what
Yes.
that's like. We're talking like
Yes.
plagues and disease and all
Everybody
kinds of shit
was.
they had to battle.
Everybody was the subsistent
Exactly.
person, except for the top 1%, who was relying
Which is
on
like
serfs. And frankly,
8 people in
they
each
had
town.
the odds of one of them getting like murdered way higher than nowadays. Like it just.
Well, yeah, because people wanted to take over their position, but that was. But
One of the things about the United States that is the reason that I still have a lot of respect for the United States, compared to what I might otherwise, is we have, with Trump being honestly the big exception, we have been able to pull off the peaceful transfer of power remarkably well. And that is the very often repeating critical juncture point at which so many conflicts have spawned.
And I think that's because they make it about stature here, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about the politics, it's about how they take it. You know what I mean?
It's also about there's a very clear set of rules, and we've held to those rules for long enough that the rules themselves have a certain amount of power.
Well, yeah,
until you get a guy like Trump
anyways.
who just destroys the entire thing,
right.
Which will always happen. There is no society that cannot be overthrown by a collection of sufficiently stupid people in sufficient numbers.
Or say, for example, we do hear what happened in Israel and our entire military goes on strike.
Yeah.
You can't physically pick them up and make them go drive that tank.
Let me tell you,
and if they all stopped, if the entire military went on strike, do you know how quick we would get? It just dawned on me like 2 days ago. Do you know how quick we would get every fucking thing we wanted if we could convince the entire military to go on strike? For just 24 hours.
If you
in
could
3 hours, there would be a solution.
Hold on, Beck. If you could convince them to go on strike and support your agenda, then
exactly
yes,
my point.
You're right. The people in the military, by and large, are not from demographics that are necessarily likely to support your agenda.
I know, because they go out in the country like they did where I lived, which is how I got in the Army. They picked me off from a little school in West Virginia where my mom moved us when we were little because she didn't want to raise us.
It's remarkable how ignorant I am, because I'm sure everybody else.
Oh, buddy, there's a lot of things about me that nobody knows or a lot of people don't know. But people like Maya and Steph who have known me for
they
years,
knew you were in the Army.
They have accumulated a lot of information because of these discussions over the years. Yeah, so no, that's absolutely what they do. You know what they did? They came
Were
to
you
my
in the
high
Army
Not a
school?
dying ember. Welcome, Ember.
Hi,
Go
Ember.
ahead, Beck.
Thank you. They came to the high school and it was like Army, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck the Navy, because my dad was in the Navy and he was a piece of crap.
I was in the Navy, and I concur.
That's what I thought
So
you were in the Navy.
Yes.
You knew
So my
Beck's
best
dad?
friend said, what do you think? And I said, oh, I'd go Army before Navy any day. And she really wanted to like be a military, you know what I mean? So she's like, that's it. You're right. I've always been looking at Army, fuck Navy. So she goes over and talks to the guy. So like 2 weeks later or a week later or something, they come
Who
back
is
with this big ass buses, the Army, National Guard.
No, your
To be specific.
friend, your girlfriend.
Yeah, my
who-
friend signed up for it, and I signed
Okay.
up for it with her. And this is why. They said they were going to have us away from school for an entire day, and we got McDonald's. And I'd only had McDonald's once in my life, and it was like this faraway venture for a poor kid, right? I was like, get the day out of school and get McDonald's? I'm taking the ASVAB. So I go down with everybody else to the big gym in some other city, blah, blah, blah. It was an hour drive somewhere. I don't remember. And we all sat down and took the test. Well, I didn't care. I wasn't trying to get in the Army. So I was drawing like the side profile of like a Christmas tree, Abe Lincoln's hat. I drew all kinds of things on the ASVAB test. Didn't even look at the test. And I
Wait,
passed
you
it.
literally didn't fill out the test?
I literally made dots to look like objects, like half of a Christmas tree, half of Abe Lincoln's hat, shit like that. Like I was just playing around. And I passed it with a 38, but I passed it. And they were like, you want to come in the Army? And they told her she failed. She never spoke to me again. And I went in the Army.
So
statistically speaking, either somebody lied.
Are y'all familiar with Katz's Deli in New York?
Of course. I mean,
Can I tell you the patterns?
No, is the answer, Stephanie.
It's changed. That was 1987 when I joined the Army.
Yeah, well, but Katz's Deli in New York was a famous establishment. I think they recently closed. The last time I was there was when the J24 North America Nationals were in New York. So went to Katz's Deli and it was a classic New York delicatessen. And they had photos of the place had been in business since the early 1900s. And they had this one particular slogan because they shipped their delicatessen food all over the world. And one of their pitches was, buy a salami for your boy in the Army, which I always thought was rather, it's like, okay, well, that's cool. That's patriotism right there. There was New
all
York.
kinds of slogans and stuff they did when we were
Buy
younger.
a salami for your boy in the Army. It's
your boy in the
yeah.
Army. Yeah. They talk about sending them like care packages, and they'd encourage you to do that back then. And they'd suggest certain products because it was a commercial that you should send your soldiers overseas. They was all commercials back then, but at least they seem.
I like to keep it as lighthearted as possible, especially at this hour of the evening, because we get into deep philosophical topics, and sometimes it gets a little bit weird. But that's all good. I'm happy to go there. It's obviously we started off in this thing. It's like
you want to talk about
stories,
the
religions, origin of religion, the Gutenberg Bible and movable type and all of that stuff.
Yeah. That's where we were. Yeah. That was a good conversation, though. But anyways, the where we were was societies, different cultures, different areas, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a different scale for every. You would have to map them all out separately just to have an idea of it, because there's just no way. There'd be no other way to do it. And then in order to do that, you'd have to have a consensus that started happening in, I don't know, 10 AD or something. I don't know. Like way back when, whatever that is. I am uneducated about that stuff, but you see my point.
Yeah, keeping the nethers clean is extremely helpful.
And the feet.
That's absolutely true.
Feet and nethers, very important.
Beck.
Yo.
Can you prove that you live on a spinning wet ball?
Yeah, because I'm on Earth.
Yeah, well, can you prove
Like the
that
rest
Earth
of
is a
us.
spinning wet
Oh, here we
spinning wet
go.
ball?
Here we
Yes.
fucking go.
Yeah.
Now we're.
But I can because we all know the
You know,
oceans are
honestly,
there.
I didn't
Here we go.
I didn't expect to trigger
Jesus.
Stephanie there.
No,
That wasn't my target.
I'm doing this on behalf
He's a
of Maya, who's sitting
cosmologist.
there thinking the same thing. It's like, what the fuck? Like, please proceed. Please proceed.
Says the cosmetologist. I'm sorry.
Oh God!
I made it work.
That was a grade A bit. Not gonna lie. Oh.
Yeah, I would have
Spicy
gone
got
with
you with that shit.
astrologer.
Astrologer. Oh man.
I would more readily identify the you need to understand why I'm saying this, because this is not an insult against cosmologists. Absolutely not. It is an extremely respectable field that I
Are we
am not
talking
educated in.
cosmologist or
What I was going to say-
cosmetologist? Wait a second.
what I was going to say-
I'm confused.
Hold on, but what I was going to say was I would more readily identify as an astrologer than a cosmologist. And when I played that back in my head, I was like, wow, that could be heard as a huge insult against cosmologists, which is not what I meant. What I meant was cosmology is a legitimate thing, and I don't know it very well. Whereas astrology is complete nonsense, so I'll totally pretend to be one and then make fun of it. So
Yeah, you can just
Well,
be
that's
the
what
king's
everybody should do.
astrologer kind of thing.
yeah,
It's easy money. That's what I've heard. It's easy. It's been easy money for how many freaking centuries now?
if
people have been
I
falling for
ever
that shit.
turn to the dark side and write a flat Earth pro flat Earth book and title
You'd
it
make $1
Dr.
million.
Vandergraff, it'll
Hey, but setting all jokes aside, why couldn't
money.
someone just like travel around the globe on an airplane, like live?
That's what I
Just
keep asking.
Stream
Well,
you.
They do
like,
it all the time. They don't
Like
believe
they
that
do.
stuff, man. If it's
like in
military
one go
or NASA,
because of fuel, I
flat
guess.
Earthers don't believe.
But I think it's
believe
been done actually. I'm not sure.
hmm
You
Yeah,
have to
if you
use
can carry a
solar-powered
camera, and
aircraft though.
it. Yeah, they don't care.
even if you make a stop and change airplanes or what have you, if you stream continuously,
You
No
wouldn't have
cut.
to stop. They can fuel you up midair.
That's true. Yeah, just keep going
They'll
west,
just
or
drop
just keep
the
going
line down
north,
on you.
whichever.
Can
Can they
you
can they
up.
fuel can they fuel civilian craft that you can buy a ticket on in midair? I don't think
No,
so.
you would have to contract a military.
Can
and it would
you
cost like $1
contract the
million.
military? Is that how the military works? Can you just like pay them? a lot?
Well, what
I mean,
it-
if you pay them
here's the
enough,
thing.
then yes. If you're
can't
like,
do
oh,
that.
here's a $10 billion check, I want you to do
can't
this.
do
thing."
that with the military, but there are military-like corporations that have all the equipment that will be glad to take your $1 million and do it.
That's true.
at the very
Because
least,
this
it can
is
be
late
done.
stage
That's the
capitalism.
question.
It
Yeah.
can be done. It
can
is
be
actually
done.
feasible. It is feasible to
Yeah.
constantly fly all the way around the Earth and then all the way around the other way, however many fucking times you want, as long as you have enough money.
Yeah, you don't even necessarily have to use an aircraft or spaceship. You could do it the old-fashioned way and just frickin' walk. Take a boat.
You could
for
do an
the,
air
the wet
balloon.
bits.
Yeah, hot air balloon.
Hot air balloon and
Mm.
switch out in midair. You could switch out in midair, I'm sure.
I
There's
would-
some way.
Yeah,
you
or
climb
just
down
do
a
it in
ladder
80
to the
days,
other one or
like in the old days.
something, and
The
just get a
weather
new
is
air
the thing.
balloon with full of helium and keep going.
People have tried this a lot, and perhaps some people have succeeded in various ways. I mean, Magellan was like the first guy whose expedition got all the way around, but I think only like 19 people survived the whole trip out of like 150 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't very many.
Doing it now in like a single trip, I think it has been done, but
Can't
there's
remember.
also like there's also not like a huge reason for it, because like you said, if you just throw enough money at it, yeah, you can keep. If you buy the right plane, and you buy people, and you buy another set of planes and put them around the globe, you're always going to be able to get refueled. And like, what are you gonna do? I guess honestly, and this might be profitable. It legitimately might be. Start a TikTok. That
You might be able to get enough funding to actually
That
do
might
it from
do
a
it.
bunch of rich ass Globers. You might actually be able to get enough funding. Yeah.
Yeah, because Globers are a bunch of idiots who don't understand the true shape of the Earth, which is, of course, flat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And if Maya disagrees with me that the Earth is flat, we can have a debate where I will be on the pro flat Earth side and Maya will be against me.
The Earth is observably round, and people who can't see like shit in front of them aren't worth talking to.
That sounds like a dodge. You see that?
Okay.
You see how she just dodges the question? She just asserts that she's right and then moves on.
Well, we have like proof, pictures, and video and stuff.
Oh, you're gonna believe
Because
NASA?
you see,
Okay.
in our Glober world, we actually we believe NASA, and we know that the video that the military take is mostly true because they do it from their fucking cell phones and send it out wherever they want. So
Yeah, I will keep my NASA show money. Thank you.
Isn't it funny though? We get ticketed if we use a cell phone while driving, but they can pilot a fucking aircraft through the air at whatever Mach and use a fucking cell phone, and they don't get. How is that?
Does that happen?
Asking.
What did I
It
miss?
seems yes. The military pilots take pictures all the fucking time with their phones.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
So
but they're
my
on
point
airplane
is-
mode.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
It's literally what it's for, dude.
Did you hear about the sphere that they dodged? 2 pilots supposedly they claimed that they were flying, whatever.
Was
Was
it
it a
aliens?
balloon? Did they
Hold on.
they find a balloon?
Hold on. Well, let me finish.
It's
And a
clearly
sphere
aliens.
came. I'm serious. They were like testifying to this in like the house. It's a clear sphere that is anywhere from 5 to 15 meters. The guy isn't sure because it went by so quickly.
Aliens.
And in the center of it was a cube that was either gray or black.
Aliens.
What do you think of that?
Wait, Ember, you're
Amber,
muted.
you're totally muted, so we can't hear a word, buddy.
Oh yeah,
Tell
I'm
everyone how it's
multitasking.
aliens.
Don't mind me.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
What do I think of that? Not enough information. Instructions unclear.
Aliens.
It came at them, and they both
Did it?
ducked to the side. It came straight towards both of them, and they both went to the sides as they should, trained, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then came back to. They both saw it, and one of
Did
them was
it? Did
afraid
it go?
to say
Did
anything.
it? Did they fly by it?
It just zoomed right past them, like at some
Is
kind
there
of
video
incredible
of
Mach.
this?
They didn't have a chance to get a video, dude. It was too fast. That's the point. There's no
Yeah,
proof.
it's.
I know.
There have been the problem is with unexplained phenomena can totally happen. I'm not denying that, but as the amount and ease and saturation of recording capabilities has like grown, the
Well, that's
number
like with
of
the Tic
instances that
Tacs.
we have
They got
found
that on
has
video.
not grown in the same way.
Tic
Right.
Tacs.
Right. The Tic Tacs that went in
Yes,
one
I
direction up and down.
But I mean,
and
if
a
we
lot of
just-
these things they
if we
can
just
look really odd,
recognize
but
that
when
it's
you sit down
aliens,
and you think about it and you
is it
look
really
at the actual
unexplained?
numbers, it's really not that weird.
Maya, honestly, I wouldn't doubt if there is aliens. It's very egotistical of us to say in this entire universe,
It's not the craziest
we
thing.
are the only intelligent beings.
It's
No,
not.
nobody's
That's not what
saying
it's
that.
saying. That's not what they're saying. Back. What they're saying is, we are the only intelligent beings that we are detecting on this planet. That's what they're saying.
And we're also very, very, very far from the next galaxy, too.
Depends
So-
on who you're talking about. I'm
Yeah,
saying
but
that
there's-
some people
there's so many
swear there's
stars
no
here.
way in fucking hell
Well, yes.
that anything could make it
Oh,
here
okay.
and live.
Those,
But if they had
those-
advanced technology that we have no clue about, maybe they can. We don't fucking know. 40
I
years
agree
ago,
with
we
you. I
didn't
agree
think
with
we
you.
would be sitting
Mhm.
here having a discussion online.
well, I
Shit changes
totally
a lot
agree
in
with
20
you.
to 40 years.
I haven't watched it yet, and for reasons that will become obvious or have already become obvious. I I got my tense wrong there. My feelings
it's
are
time
mixed.
machines.
But Sabina Felder. What is her name?
Yeah,
I
her.
can't remember.
Hassenfelder.
The YouTube physicist. She made a video which I haven't watched yet.
Hassenfelder.
Felder.
Hassan
Sabine
Pfeffer
Hassenfelder.
Corporated. Dun, dun, dun,
And-
dun.
yeah,
we're
it-
gonna
it's-
do
it's-
it. Oh, sorry.
But she has a video where she says she doesn't believe the speed of light is like constant or the limit or something like that. And I haven't watched it yet, but I will say
Is that new?
it's a few months old. I like agree. I have no idea if my reasons will be the same. What I think is I'm not saying it isn't the speed limit, but I'm not convinced it is, because I'm not convinced we know a large fraction of the physical laws of the universe
Thank
yet.
you. That's what I'm saying.
I
That's
tend to
exactly
agree.
my point.
Just
How
because it's
often
like-
do you guys go,
Obviously-
ooh, look at this.
obviously,
This is new. You know,
Obviously,
we learn
Michael,
stuff
we
all the time.
don't know our appreciation of the physical laws of the universe is extremely limited. It keeps growing. That's
Mhm.
great, but we don't know what dark matter is. We don't
Yeah,
know what dark
exactly.
energy is. We don't know a whole bunch of stuff. But
We
the
don't
key
know what we
thing-
don't know.
the key thing for science is to know what we don't know and not ascribe what we don't know to some imaginary force that we make up.
Yes, I agree
That's-
with you.
That's where things get crazy.
Yes.
Yep, when we pretend
it's
to know the
fine for
answers.
Sabine. It's fine for Sabine Hoffenstetter to say, "Well, we don't know stuff and all of this," but what happens? What happens in the general discourse is they don't. know.
Yeah.
They don't.
For
know.
God.
So, and Sabine herself is a victim of this when she strays outside of her field to
Mhm.
opine on issues that affect me personally.
Yes.
She a month ago decided that she was fully qualified to opine on the transgender issue.
Yeah.
Who did?
And she absolutely fucked things up. She absolutely, through whatever, I'm sure good intentions, but presented it as this side says one thing, this side says another thing. And the problem I have with a physicist doing that is you can be in the same position arguing with a flat earther.
Yeah.
This side says one thing, this side says another thing, and you're not really appreciating this side says bullshit, this side says something that's a little less bullshit, and I'm going to say that there is a middle ground.
I couldn't.
This
agree
is
more.
a problem this is a problem that in every single aspect of current discourse is disturbing, because not every side has valid points.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They just simply don't. And
boy, wouldn't it be nice if they listened when you told them that?
But
well, she should know better.
She
so
absolutely
I'm not saying
know better.
And I'm not saying that, like, you have a degree, therefore you know everything there is to know. Like I fight people with that. When
I have the same
when
degree
having my
she
master's
has.
degree.
Okay.
But really quick, Stephanie. I haven't talked that much. I just want to finish my one thought, please.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for people, scientists are trained to think. Like, they are actually trained in critical thought. And like their whole thing is, okay, I'm going to think critically, and then I'm going to pass it over here to other people so that they can see if there's any holes that I have. So, I mean, for her to just look and say, well, I don't know, this isn't my field, and maybe both sides have points, without, like, it's showing lack of critical thought. for her, and she should know how to get the information she needs.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree 100.
Or at least just stay the hell out of the conversation.
Yeah,
like,
or just
I
say,
have no problem
"I'm
saying
not
I don't know
qualified."
enough about this to have an opinion. You know,
It's like, if you saw Stephanie's
same,
stream
exactly.
earlier, she's like, somebody asked a question and she said, Ben describes it so eloquently here. It's coming up. I'm just going to refer to the medical community on this. And like, I mean, it's just, if it's not your lane, stay out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you want to make it your lane, put in the work.
Right. Exactly.
And
Do the
be
work.
honest
Exactly right.
and talk to people and get opinions and reference shit.
That's what the work is.
Please.
When
I
the-
know,
when
I'm just
the-
making
when-
sure they
Stephanie's done a great job
understand
of-
what work
Right, yeah,
means.
because they don't exactly.
No,
Beck,
you
they
say work,
don't.
they're like, "What do you mean?" It means
And
Right.
it's
You know what?
because what they often
I-
assume that I mean is that you have to go to a school and get a degree and have it be the particular way, and that's not what I mean. But it's the easiest way of doing it. It really is. In a lot of these things, if you want to opine strongly, okay, not on things like the experience of being trans in this country. You can't get a degree in that. That for sure you can't. It doesn't work for everything, but a lot of the time you have people opine like anti-vax or that kind of hot nonsense where that is a scientific question. Whether or not vaccines work and are safe, totally, like,
I know.
you don't understand how much goes into thinking and learning and understanding these things. And even the people who have bad intentions aren't out to kill everybody. They're out to make money where it's unethical to make that much money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
And
different than wanting to kill everybody.
Except the lizard
and Maya,
people.
I wonder if what I'm talking about as far as discourse is concerned applies to broader issues like critical race theory, like all of these things. People tend to. It seems to me that people tend to jump into these discussions without, as Mike says, without doing the work. And you kind of sort of wonder why. I mean, if you haven't done the work, why are you even talking about it?
Thank
Exactly.
you, Doug. God.
Yeah, Doug, exactly. You know, my asshole brother said one wise thing to me that has stuck with me since he said it years ago. If you want to prove you're right, try to disprove you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the honest way to go about it. Don't start referencing. Find the line that makes you sound good and then go, "Oh, I'm done."
That's how
Keep
science
going where
works.
it's uncomfortable. Go to where it's uncomfortable and where you
Right.
don't believe it, and then you may find a different avenue or a different path. But if you're biased, you're never going to see past the end of your own nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think even like just in general debates, to be able to take down the other side, you have to know what their position is.
Yes.
And if you can steel man their position, only from that point can you take it down.
Yes.
And people won't do that. It's just like, well, you just want to kill babies. Like nobody wants to kill babies. Like
Yeah, we're over here bathing in the blood of the
This is a straw
unborn.
man argument. You don't know where I'm coming
For
from.
the record,
And when I try to tell
I
you, you
love
tell me,
veal.
no, I don't.
Fair.
It's
yeah.
just, you can't.
I'm just kidding.
Lamb is also quite good. Absolutely.
That was for the
Okay.
memes, not so much because I can't even remember
okay,
how many times
okay.
I've had veal. It hasn't been that many.
Yeah, but yeah, Beck, I think it was my first or second grade teacher told me something very similar as like a real quick way of describing the scientific method is you come up with an idea and then you try to prove yourself wrong.
Yeah.
You do everything you can to knock it down.
Right.
Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. If you have a good education, like a good school, they actually talk like that to you?
Yes.
My school is kind of middle of
really?
the road.
We never had conversations like that in school, ever. until I got high school.
I was told that in the
like
fifth
grade
grade.
school and junior high was just do your homework, and they didn't teach us shit.
For context, I should say my second grade teacher sent me to the principal's office because she said it's impossible to subtract 3 from 5. And I said, no, that doesn't. No, you can do that.
She doesn't know about negatives.
Hold on, wait.
You don't go into the negatives when you subtract 3 from 5.
You don't even do that. Yeah, that's
just
you're
5 from 3.
That's just 5 minus 3.
You go into the negatives. It's
no,
the negative
other way around. 5 minus 3.
Okay,
I was right.
The way you originally said that was
right.
It was right the first way. 3 minus 5. Oh, now I'm all kinds of flustered. But she said if I have 3 apples and you try to take 5 apples, that doesn't work. I don't have enough apples, so you can't do it. And I'm like, no, you would still owe me 2 more apples. We hadn't even discussed negatives and the concepts right there.
How many would you have? How many would you have?
That's kind of where she was going. It was so infuriating.
You shouldn't have gotten in trouble. You should have gotten extra credit, is the point.
Right?
Seriously.
I had another one, too. I didn't even realize what the hell I'd done until years later when we started getting into more advanced stuff.
Encourage it.
Yeah.
I had teachers where
Go ahead, Ember. I'm sorry.
I would have gotten extra credit and not a trip to the principal's office.
I would have gotten.
where I grew up, we probably would have gotten in trouble until high
really
school.
Fortunate is I grew up in a school system that was really remarkably effective.
Wow,
well, that's a plus. But I had so much trouble in second grade.
Yeah.
We had a book. I think it was called "Where the Wild Fern Grows" or something like that.
I remember that.
I read the entire book in one night, and then the next day when we had a quiz asking what the main character had for breakfast at the beginning of chapter 2, I didn't fucking know because there were like 20 more breakfasts I'd read through. So yeah, I got put in remedial reading because I read an entire book in one night.
And they didn't believe you, did they? They didn't believe you did it.
No.
I did an art project in art class,
testing.
and I did it in like 3 nights, and it was amazing. And we had like 5 days to do it, and I turned it in, and he said, "You didn't draw this. Your brother drew it."
Oh my!
And I said, "No. No, I worked on that for 3 nights, 5-6 hours a night. I stayed up late. I barely slept." And I made this beautiful picture. It was mountains and an eagle flying like over your head. And it was really cool. Had a beautiful river and like deer and shit. Like I really put detail in it. Like you could see the fucking like limbs on the pine trees. Come on. And he said, "Oh no, Richard did it." And I got a fucking F on that because he thought my brother did it because it was too good.
It's infuriating when someone's like, "Oh, it's too good. You couldn't have done this." I'm like,
Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I was in a country area and I identified as female at the time. Do I need to say any more?
Okay, yeah, I definitely. I mean, it can happen to anybody. I totally believe it, but yeah, the likelihood is much more up there.
Like the boys wore scrunched up baseball caps to school with oil and shit on them and dirt, and their boots were always dirty, and they had chaw in their mouth, and they all wear fucking flannel. That's where I grew up, man. There was literally a house got burned down because of the KKK.
How large was your graduating
when I was
class
17,
in high school?
and my mind was blown, and I started learning stuff I never knew before.
Yeah, good
and that
question.
was when my eyes were opened up. I'm sorry, what was the question?
How large was your graduating class in high school?
Everybody that actually graduated, not the class.
Yeah. The people that
there
graduated.
was 4 people that didn't graduate. There was 83 of us that graduated.
I don't know how many people in my class
did
didn't
graduate.
graduate.
I was like, God.
But
No.
I had a graduating class of, I believe, 996.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to do with that.
Yeah, mine was around there too.
I didn't know what to do with
My
that.
my graduating class was 900 and something. 900 and
Wow.
860.
So
mine was 816.
So the schools that have the big graduate, those are the ones where they actually teach you, like in the
Well,
city.
they're the ones where
they don't do it out in the fucking country, man. I didn't know shit about slavery. It was like a little drop in the bucket. They acted like was no big deal. And then I got older. I got into my 20s and I started reading, and I was just like, "Oh my God, I hate people. I had no idea. They never taught us that shit." This is why I say white people out in the country are fucking accidentally stupid. It's not even their fault.
Yes,
They
I
need
Parents,
more
they're-
goddamn
they're-
education.
Yeah,
out
You're not
there.
I agree
wrong.
with that.
I had
Yeah.
never heard of like this black kid came to school, and I knew everybody hated black people because it was the year that the
Eyes
house
in
burnt
charge.
down, and
I
my
gotta
eyes
go
were really
refresh.
open, and I ran around and protected him. I protected him for months. I think he was there for 2 months before the family packed up and left because they said,
Yeah.
fuck it. He was bullied constantly. I would go searching for him in the hall. He was shorter than me. He had an afro, and he was like this big around. He was this tiny, cute little black boy. And I felt so bad for him. He was a freshman going into high school for the first time in a bigoted white high school. Not a
Yep.
black person to be seen for miles unless you go to the city and go like into the kitchens, and that's where they were. Literally, that's the area I grew up in. It's horrible.
Yep.
Made me sick. And then I got older and realized it, and I just wanted to puke.
I mean, it's not
Like
much
those people, I
better
thought
in
those
the
people were
North.
good people and friends, and oh yeah, it was definitely better in the North. Sure,
I mean,
can't
it
imagine,
is, but not.
but not that much.
I
Not
mean,
in the
we-
countries.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get the what do you call it? The Southern strategy stuff, but it's still very much minimized.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. Anyways, I wasn't trying to go on a tangent. I was just talking about learning
Well,
things and
people-
how I
A
came to
tangent
some of
of
my
my
knowledge.
life.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
well-
for sure. Some schools are definitely better than others, and part of its curriculum and part of its culture, and part of the culture is because of the way things are administrated.
And the curriculum, I know,
and
It's just goes-
economics.
It's a big circle, man. It's all a big
Mhm.
circle.
Economics,
It's all connected.
economics doesn't
It's all
solve
connected.
everything. You can't just pump money into a school and solve all the problems, but you can pump money into a school and solve some of the problems. And if you've already got money in a school, you're going to prevent a lot of problems.
It's like
yeah,
my mother
that
said.
checks out.
My mother went to go become a science teacher, and she said, I may not be able to handle being a nurse, but at least I can go teach future generations to think better and to recognize how important
who's telling her
science
she couldn't
is
be a
for
nurse?
us. No, she decided she couldn't handle death. She's too soft-hearted.
Oh,
She couldn't.
yeah, that's
She
fair.
lost her mind. A guy had been in the hospital for a
that's
long
fair.
time with
It's an
gangrene.
emotionally traumatizing job.
They
at the
became
best of times.
friends. Yes, exactly. She's like, I
But-
can't do it. I become friends with everybody. I can't detach.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There's a reason that
So she wanted-
psychopaths are overrepresented as surgeons.
Yeah, seriously.
That's where
Yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard to do something like chopping.
Yeah,
people
my
all
dad.
day.
My
I'm
dad,
sure after
was
like
a
the
pulmonologist,
20th
yeah.
surgery, it gets way easier. But could you imagine the first 5? They got to be kind of horrifying. But of
Yeah.
course, now wait though. In medical school, you cut up cadavers though.
Yeah, and you observe
So
surgeries,
you
and then
get
you're an
yes.
assistant, and you might
They work
do an
into it.
incision, and then if they see anything that's tricky, they would take over.
No,
and then
You get
eventually
to do
you are allowed to do the
stitches.
tricky stuff.
Stitches before any incisions.
Yeah,
Ask Dr. Ben.
exactly.
That's what he
Yeah,
told me. He
all-
said,
all of
I
that
got to
sort of
do a
thing.
stitches in a surgery. And I said, shut the fuck up. He goes, yeah, they picked me out of everybody. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's a win. That was like, that's a medical
right,
school
exactly.
win right there.
And but most doctors don't do surgeries at all because they're not surgeons. Like my dad did biopsies in the lungs because he was a pulmonologist, but he would use like an endoscope or something, one of these things that goes in.
Endoscopy. Yeah.
Yeah, the tubies.
And he got
With
like
that little camera.
and yeah, that was like pretty cool. But
I've never had any of that shit done.
Oh, Mark, you're being summoned. Speak.
Oh, I was just gonna reel it back to when we were talking about reading a whole book and learning a whole bunch of stuff by just reading the entire thing, and I think that's so relevant to like when, as a former Christian, that just like if we read the Bible, we just read little verses here and there, but we never really read the whole
Mhm.
story, and much less if the book is already like known for being like crazy book that nobody understands, like the book of Leviticus.
yeah,
So one of those
Mhm.
things that like just opened my mind to like, wait a minute, what's going on here is gaining a deeper understanding of the Levitical law. This whole thing had everything to do with the land of Israel because it presupposed that that land belonged to their God Yahweh, and somehow the land is connected to the god because it leads to the god somehow. And so therefore people's disobedience and all that stuff would ultimately contaminate the land, which contaminates God, and then God cannot longer be present in their midst. And so people get sent over onto exile. And it's all about the land. And it's like, well, if we praise our God, then we'll get the rain and we can predict agriculture and stuff. So it's like that's what the whole law system is about. And we know better today how that doesn't work. Right? And it's just like, why are we still like putting this into like the center of like people's thinking and making it all about what it's really not?
I don't know.
This
We
whole
have a
thing
lot
with
of white
salvation and
nationalists
hell
here.
and all that
I
mess.
don't think they know that. You
know,
know,
racism isn't a problem in the U.S., Maya. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've heard
The
it
Bible
said.
really does
Obama got
condone
elected.
slavery, and
Yeah,
it's
Obama's
so
president.
wrong.
Racism is over. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like at Harvard, all this extra racism. Too.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it goes back to like
that's that's
like
John
ancient
Roberts.
Canaanite
We
things
live
for
in a
like elk
post-racial
caves.
society. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Maya.
Oh, Maya's having visitors apparently.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, I'm gonna
That's
go back
absolutely
to
true.
the family. So it's been a pleasure. I'll see you all next time.
All
Mark,
right.
thanks
Hey,
for
Mark.
nice meeting you, and thanks for coming by and hang around.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see you. Bye, y'all.
Bye, Mark.
Laters. Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
surprise bonus humans.
Go ahead,
Good
go ahead,
times.
Maya. It's a,
No, well, he was saying that it's like somehow got tied back to land, and I'm like, I was just thinking about like how there's a Canaanite text that Canaanite text that got the idea of it got put into the Bible, but they switched things around to where Yahweh was the God on high or whatever. And so he's parsing out parts of the land to his people, where originally it's believed that it was El parceling out land to his 70 children. So yeah, each deity was like the Lord of landlord, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you get all the things that he's saying that flows from that. I'm sorry.
So in other words, El was kind of like Oprah, and you get a country, 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 and you get
countries
a country.
were divided.
There we go.
Countries were divided on whatever they decided the God's land was, and
Yeah, that's one of the weird things about the earlier Bible books. As you know, on Aaron Ra's Blasphemers Bible, there's a couple of like Bible experts and a couple Hebrew speakers and so on. So as we go through the chapters, they really take apart some of this stuff. And a lot of those things in Exodus and Leviticus, where those traditions started while the early Hebrews were still polytheistic. Like their God was Yahweh, but El was to the north, and he was like the supreme god, and then they started annexing bits of him, and then there was like I always mispronounce her name, but like Azshara was like the fertility god.
Shara.
Yeah.
I don't think she had land though. She was just everybody's wife.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah,
and there were a bunch
like
of others.
Baal or Baal.
In other words, the
Baal,
town pump.
Yeah,
the town pump. I haven't heard that in so long. That is great.
Hey everyone.
Thank you for
I've
that.
been trying to stream at least since
You
almost
lie.
6 hours ago. So yeah, or
Really?
be live, not stream myself. Yeah, because I started on Neil at 5. We didn't go live until like 5:20, but that was because of audio issues. So I need to like eat and all that stuff because that was like 6 hours ago almost.
Yeah, well, we've been here for 59 minutes and 41 seconds. I know that Mikey is live on his channel, Mikey
Yeah,
Famine.
Mikey doesn't stop streaming.
Yeah,
No,
no,
he
he's
never
a
does.
streamaholic.
Mikey
I mean,
never
I don't
stops,
even-
and I feel kind
when
of
he
bad.
sleeps.
'Cause it seems like when Maya, when you said, we ought to have an after party, it's oh well, fuck, I'll do it. It's like,
Well, no,
but
you had your
Mikey
stream
goes,
up
I'm
before he
right
did.
here, and I feel oh shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Mikey.
yeah. Also, yeah. I don't know, Mikey. I know you.
Yeah,
I know
so-
Mikey, but not as
Yeah.
well as I know you. Anyway,
Now you
I
know
need
Mikey.
to go and like do the stuff.
Yeah, go eat. I was eating while you were talking, so
All right, see
I
you,
was
everybody.
just about to say that.
That's the key to long-term streams, is to snack while you're on. Like maybe you have to turn off your camera or something, but yeah, you
Yeah.
do the little munchy munch so you can keep
which
going.
You just did.
Exactly.
yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Is that the Flying Dutchman you've got going on there, Ember?
It was sort of. I asked Midjourney
the
to make
fucking
a
Flying
flying
Dutchman,
ship
man.
for me, and it did pretty good.
That's
So, yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
I've
the
got
Fliegende Hollander you got going on there, mate.
I've got a few different ones. Of course, I've got my normal avatar. Whenever robots come up, I bring out this one. That was a project shoot I did a few years ago to be like, shaving accident, oops, kind of
Oh
thing.
my god.
Oh dear.
I've got my demon face for when we talk about demons, and I'm not actually on camera. And my dragon princess for whenever I'm bothering Doc Dino about dinos and things. And yeah,
All right.
and light bulbs, because
Who's
why
your
not?
so Amber? Who is your favorite antagonist on the YouTubes? Do you have one?
You mean like who I pick on the most?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their people that it's like
That irritate the shit out of them.
There's a few that get my goat pretty good, but I'd say probably the person that makes me instantly furious the most often is probably Hugh Ross, because he's an actual astrophysicist and lies almost constantly about the field.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
What?
the fellow
For money? People can do this for money.
Is that the fellow
Where's
who works for
Ron
Answers
Walls?
in Genesis?
No, he's got his own thing. It's like reason.org or some shit. But yeah, he got his PhD in astrophysics and then worked at Caltech for 5 years studying quasars, and then discovered that apologetics pays better. So 40 years ago, he quit being an astrophysicist and started running around selling books and videos and collecting speaking fees. And he's been getting progressively more and more and more dishonest along the way. The only time you can get him to be honest.
40 years?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
the only time he'll be honest is when you put him up against a young Earth person, and then he'll bring out the real science to crush them.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He won't tolerate young Earthers.
Okay, but
Weird.
what's his general tip? Where does he usually go? I don't want to give him any.
Well, I mean, you can say what his normal shtick, right?
Yeah, it's old Earth creation. He's like, all the stuff in the universe points towards God. The Big Bang, we don't know what it was made from, so therefore it was caused by God. And string theory says there's 11 dimensions, and so that's how Jesus can walk through walls. And I'm like, my fucking God, he's so out of date, it's laughable, But he does it. Oh, and he's got his backstory, too. If you let him really get going, he'll get into his backstory. He's like, well, as a child, I was a super genius. I read every single book in my local library, and so they gave me a special pass to go to the adult section. And I'm like, oh, that sounds legit.
Oh,
And,
wow. From the child section?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Can you
he's
please teach
such-
me, great one?
Exactly. And he just doesn't stop. He's like, so I came to Christianity only after I'd studied every other religion in the world, and when I opened the book of Genesis, I saw in the beginning God created, and I knew it was true. And I'm like, my dude, you just said 15 minutes ago that you were part of a church group at age 7 and you got your first Bible when ministers came to your school at 13, but you only discovered Christianity existed in college? Pull the other one. Oh, these fucking
Yeah.
guys.
That seems a
You know,
little
if you're gonna
extreme.
lie,
I mean,
keep up with your lies.
It's to me again back to my theme of stories being the thing. All of these things are stories. To me, the creation myth created by a devout Catholic, J.R.R. Tolkien, is one of the more beautiful ones that I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, God's choir sings the world into being.
Yeah, I fucking love it, and it
You know,
works
the original
too.
intelligence, out of like Athena from the head of Zeus, out come these beings, and 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 God says, "Well, nice to meet you all. Great, let's sing a song." And they all sing a song, and they sing the universe into being. God kind of likes it. It starts one theme. It's like, okay, this is really cool, and then and then this asshole over in the corner there starts making garbage. It's like, all right, let's try again. And it does it 3 times, and then God says, or Iluvatar says, I'm going to show you what your song looks like. And poof, there's a world. I think that's a really cool story.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not true. It's got no basis in, it's not like the world was created and was flat until God changed his mind and turned it into a ball. It's not the rest of the whole thing is to say the least fanciful. But still it's a cool story.
Yeah.
But I don't see any reason why somebody should give credence to Genesis as opposed to a much prettier story where the angels sing the universe into being.
Yeah, if you're gonna pick your made up story, pick one you like.
Yeah,
Pick one you
where
like.
they're not
It's
killing
fine.
babies and shit. Pick that one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not racist, and they're not transphobes, and they're not
they're
haters,
a little racist,
and they're not bigots, and they're not.
But again, here's a guy who's a devout, super devout Catholic who comes up with this tale that he doesn't see as being, he's telling this story within his cultural framework. That's a product of his own imagination. And I respect that. I really do. I respect the human imagination hugely. Because we're all here trying to figure out why we're here and why we're not here for forever and why we miss people and all of that stuff. I think really fundamentally that's what anchors people into religions, because they provide those answers.
Mm-hmm. We like the answer.
There's
we like made up
answers in Genesis. It's like, I'm going to tell you what the answers you have to the questions of life, the universe, and everything are. And you should subscribe to my channel and send me money.
Yeah, or come visit our giant ark that doesn't hold up in the rain. Buy our DVDs and all that shit. But when
they say subscribe to my channel and send me money, they mean in doing so you will achieve eternal life, which is a fucking lie.
Oh, obviously.
I'm sorry. It's a fucking lie. We are not eternal beings. We do not have there is no basis in isn't it pretty to think so, I suppose, in the words of Hemingway, another story. But it's the whole, for me, the whole structure of I hate to say it, but it's true, conning people into a system of belief that perpetuates structures of patriarchy, of misogyny, of a whole bunch of really ugly things, of dominance uh, for whatever race. And it's, certainly other races aside from my own come up with stories that speak of dominance. We're particularly good at it because we're assholes, culturally.
Well, we also have a story telling us that it's good to be assholes. God will smile on us if we're assholes.
Correct.
Wait, where is that?
Good point.
Wait, what story says that?
It's a sort of an emergent property. A lot of people assume it says that, like the Crusades, go die for the glory of God. Christ said, "I come not to bring peace but a sword." All of that shit. It's cherry picking to build a case, like anything else.
Yahweh commanding the Israelites to slaughter the Amalekites, and that kind of stuff. It's like, you are my chosen people. And of course, those those of us who aren't Hebrews adopted that as it being us, and it's like, well,
yeah, that was
all of these
things.
Essentially, it's a racist tale, right? So you're my chosen people. You are chosen of God. Therefore, go out and fucking kill everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's appealing, I suppose. But
I recently did a video with Nara about slavery in the Bible, because there's so many apologists who like to say, oh, well, the Bible didn't condone slavery. And let me explain how the slavery that was in there is different from American slavery, as if answering a different question answers the original question.
Chattel slavery is chattel slavery.
Yeah, if you're owned as property, But in any case, somebody in the comments mentioned that actually one of their biggest arguments is, well, Hebrew slavery wasn't race-based, except it was, because Jews are considered an ethnic group, and the rules for how you treated your slaves was different for the Hebrews and non-Hebrews.
Race is a fiction. Race is a fiction created by colonialists. It's just garbage.
I don't understand why it matters if it was race-based or not. You have a different standard for your own people than you have for everyone else. Like, it's the same thing. Like, who cares if it was based on brown skin or blue eyes? Like,
yeah, I don't think anybody reasonably expects there to be a difference. It's just one of the very few areas that the apologists can point to and say, see, that's different from the way antebellum America did it.
As late as Shakespeare, Othello was seen as a human being. Shylock was seen as a human being. But you see in Shakespeare the transformation of ethnocentrism being transferred to colonialism, being transferred to superiority. I mean, I fucking read The Merchant of Venice, read Othello. It's all about being against that tip. We've been fighting these battles for centuries. This isn't anything fucking new. It just isn't anything fucking new.
Yeah.
And it sort of rolls into a tip I get on from time to time. It's like Homo sapiens is just, we're the same people. We have been for millennia, not just centuries, but millennia. We haven't changed a great deal. But if we don't start doing so, the whole fucking planet's gonna get fucked, and is getting fucked. Yeah, and I spent my growing up years, as a child of the 50s and growing up in the 60s and being on the moon and 90 minutes from New York to Paris and all of that undersea by rail in the words of an old Steely Dan song.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
we have to start doing better because we are a species-wide planet that has within our hands the capacity for destroying everything.
Yeah, we can do wonderful things, but only if we stop fucking things up. And that's sort of the bitch of, well, not all religions, but certainly the kinds that we're constantly running headfirst into. Because to them, their magic story says they have dominion over the earth and can do whatever they want with it. And if they happen to destroy the earth, so much the better, because that means their prophecies are come true.
The other element to that is that it doesn't matter anyway because Jeebus is coming from the sky and we're all gonna rise up and the world will end and new heaven, new earth, and all of that stuff. I mean, there are extreme versions of that, like the JWs, and in which 144,000 and the people that are actually members of that particular sect are gonna hang around while the rest of us are incinerated by a loving and all embracing God.
Yes. Yes. All loving.
You know,
loving fire.
Yeah, and it's I don't know.
Yeah, it's troublesome. The good news is we are making progress.
Dick, are you
socially.
talking to me? You talking? You know,
He's talking to Ember.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you never know who Dick's talking to, and
he is a Mike meticulous motherfucker. He's a Mike meticulous motherfucker. No, he is. It drives him nuts if you're not using. Like he yelled at me so much, I got fed up and just started putting my mic.
Actually,
because I don't want to hear it anymore. Again, I love him, and I know he's right.
Yeah, but actually,
just keep it in your mouth.
That I sound better.
How y'all doing?
Actually, I really would appreciate the constructive criticism. Dick, how do I sound? Dick?
He said that's better.
Dick.
Oh, was he talking to Ember? He said.
Dick?
Yeah, he was talking to Ember.
That's better, thanks. But was he talking to Ember? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
No, I'm trying to inspire a little. I'm new at this shit. I don't know what I'm doing.
Dick, don't ever be sorry for trying to help people, man. Don't ever be sorry for that. Please continue to try to help people. We need more of that in this world.
It's all good.
It's okay.
We just don't know who the hell you're talking to unless you specify.
More specific and drunk.
Yeah, because none of us can hear our own audio because of the way StreamYard works. So I have no fucking idea what I saw.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I can. If I wanted to, I could get feedback in my mic close to, but with some delay.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And it drives me crazy, so I can't do it.
No, yeah, and mine too, because we'll be doing the streams and everybody sounds level in the show. But then I'll listen to it back and I'm like, why is my mic so fucking loud? Like it, I wish I could hear it the way that they heard it in the stream so we could correct that. Or like I remember one time Bree and I were streaming and people were like, I can't remember what they said, but they were like, Bree, your mic is off or something they were saying. And when I heard it back, because she's like, oh, they wanted her to turn it down. But then she turned it up.
On,
and I'm like,
I got to tell you, I know why you were getting talked over earlier. We lose your sound and then you come back and you're fine again. And it disappears for about...
Oh, probably because I'm like moving back and forth.
I don't know, but it disappears for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then we don't know what you're saying. And I think earlier, I saw
everybody
your
I know
move, and your mic was doing that, just so you know.
Oh, I might have also been on mute, but no, everybody I know talks over me. It's just...
So Dawson had, when you were at one point in time...
Your audio
at one point in time, Mr. Dawson had the exact same mic as I use. And, it's...
Read Dick's comment.
Okay.
He could fix it for you in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, if I get out of here, oh God, it's 1 a.m. No. Okay, yeah, no, I need to talk to
Is
Dick
it
too
1
because
a.m.? We probably ought to end this fucking thing.
yeah. I need to talk to Dick too because he wants me and Doc to do something at some point, and I don't know. Like I stopped thinking like probably half an hour ago.
It happens.
That's okay. It's all right to fly. It's all right to fly around without a net. Maya, it's okay. You can do that.
It's true, because with half your brain tied your back, I can't even English. With half your brain tied behind your back, you're still 4 times smarter than any creationist.
These are facts.
Yeah,
Purple
but
is
they're also
reminding us.
certain. They're also certain, and the thing is that I find when I'm talking with people who assume that they know a great deal more than I do about a subject I'm intimately familiar with, that it's like somebody lied to you, somebody's telling you lies, somebody doesn't like, dude.
Oh yeah, because they
Here
know
are the
that they know that
studies.
they know.
Here are the studies. Here's the data. Here's the stuff. You can say that bullshit all you want, but
I love it when you say, "Give me citations, give me some give me words you get this info," and they're like, "So anyway, no, that's not what I said. Where did you find this? I want to know where you found this information. Like, what credible source? Give me your credible. I don't have one. Well, shut the fuck up. Well,
No,
Yeah.
well,
I'm gonna go off on Sabine
if it's a
Hoffenstatter.
creationist, they'll be like, well, this Bible verse and chapter, and we're like, no, like what corroborates this verse and chapter, like that?
yeah.
Like, what's the Bible?
If it's all right with you guys,
What do
I'd
you
like to
mean?
go
It
off on
corroborates
Sabine
itself.
Hoffenstatter for just a second.
Absolutely.
Hey,
And
have at it.
only insofar as my largest critique of her take on the one hand, on the other hand, issue around trans people, particularly trans people in sport, which is I'm a trans woman who's been sailing for 25 years since I
than you've been
transitioned.
trans.
So I kind of have an idea as to what I kind of have an idea as to what the sporting organizations required of us then and now and all of that. But the problem I have with Sabine's take on that, not that specific issue, but her entire take is her insistence that on double blind studies as being the be all and end all of a scientific evaluation of any topic. Mm-hmm. My problem with this is that when it comes to medical issues, you can't do a double blind study when if you withhold effective treatment from one group, it will result in serious detriment to the point of fatality for that group. You can't do a medically ethical double-blind study on treatment when the results of any study you undertake shows that the group receiving the treatment is substantially benefiting from the treatment, and the group that doesn't kills themselves. Can't do it. It's not medically ethical. Yeah. And it might work in physics, and it's too bad Tapioca's not here still. But you can't, it might work when you're talking about photons, but it doesn't work when you're talking about people. And I wish people would wrap their minds around that somehow or another. So, well, we need more study. There haven't been effective double-blind experiments to show blah 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 blah. It's like, well, go ahead and do that. When you wind up with people people in serious distress, maybe you might want to reevaluate your priors there. Like nothing's valid.
But that would require caring about other people.
Right?
You just eliminated the part of the human that they don't have. They don't care. I say I don't care, but I do, and I hate it because it stresses me out when the world gets treated like shit, different parts of it. Anyways, but no, these people they're just selfish pricks. They don't care. They don't care that people die. They don't care. All they worry about is them and themselves. And they're a bunch of fucking child molesters and wife beaters and fucking, all that shit. They just are.
Well, I mean,
and it's fucked up that they're all in charge.
No, I mean, it depends on who you're talking about. A lot of people who who don't care are like legit being lied to. They honestly think that all trans people are pedophiles.
Yes.
Not Sabina.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then
some
there's
people. Yes.
I think that people generally get trapped into their own ways of thinking. I don't think that it's I don't think it's at all malicious on her part.
I don't think
to take that view, but I don't think she's given it. I don't think she's gave it sufficient consideration, and I don't think most people do. People tend to work within their own frames of reference.
Absolutely.
And my frame of reference as a trans woman is certainly quite different from most. And all I ask is that people listen, and the best I can do is, that's kind of why I started doing this shit. I don't know I don't hear voices on in a lot of venues that where our experiences are even heard, and especially in venues that have a lot of eyeballs on screens and asses in seats. And I don't want to be the pejorative at the moment in the current circumstances is that I, by living, am an activist of some kind. The answer that I'm not. I'm trying to tell you of my life. I'm trying to tell you my story. And in real life, that works. In this life, it doesn't so much. It's not heard.
I know what you mean. It depends on who your audience is. It really does. I got really lucky when I streamed a lot of stuff because I didn't have trolls, because trolls that I had were people like Otangelo, and I got him on stream and I was very nice to him, and he realized there's no drama here and he never bothered me again. So I only had good people on my streams. The trolls didn't like me. I was too nice. I over-niced them until they went away.
Killing
no drama for them to talk
and
about.
Then they start like up in the ante.
Well, but what I would do is I would go on a subject that was totally like nothing about religion, nothing about philosophy, nothing, just common everyday. Oh, I saw this car. You like that car too, like that kind of discussion. We were talking about hobbies and shit. I made it so simple. There was nothing they could talk about. There was nothing they could say bad. There was just nothing there. And then when they all left, we went back to the original topic. And every time they came in, I tried to change it.
I don't think you understand what trolls do. They
No,
find
that's
the
how they
bad
left
when
my
it's-
channel. They never
No,
came
I'm just
back.
saying that. I mean, it is what they do, though. Like they go in looking for reasons, and then like if
yeah.
they,
Yeah.
I don't know how you worked it out. I don't know, but usually when like people troll, like when you back me into a corner of reason, I become unreasonable.
I get it. But I just wouldn't let him talk about it. I'm like, no, we're not talking about that.
You don't have to let them. You don't have to
How, like,
let them.
That's the
Like,
only
I mean,
way I could
seriously,
try
like
to
when
combat it.
Ethan used to stream, and we would get trolls in, and they're like, "You just want to be socialist," and we're like, like what part of like living wages and healthcare for all, and the da 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 idea of an issue with? That's not socialism, dude. What do you think we're talking about? And then he start with the insults, and you people are stupid, and you're like, and just like,
oh my god,
going nuts. So like he's mad that we're trying to be reasonable. So like seriously, like there's no being nice to like actual trolls. Like I don't know what you did, but that's not normal. That's all I'm saying.
I'm telling you, I told you I just got lucky. I overniced them. I acted like they were customers at the store.
It doesn't matter.
And somehow it worked, and no one ever came back.
I mean,
and for like 2
weird.
years straight, I had nobody in there. Not one troll came into my for like 2 years. It was amazing. And I don't know what it was, but maybe they just found me boring. I'm okay with that. Don't come back. I just wouldn't talk about anything serious in front of them. I would try to change the subject so they had nothing.
Yeah,
they didn't have anything to grab a hold of.
They don't need it.
I'm too much of a
told
bitch.
you, nobody
They
gives a
always
shit
came
about
after
me.
me. It's like, oh Jesus.
Why are you not
No,
listening?
like I mean, no, seriously. Stephanie will be in a chat minding her own business, and I mean, the trolls are just like, trans women are men, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm not popular
dude?
as you think, Maya.
Hello.
Not as popular as you think, Maya.
Well, the funniest thing is the funniest things are when it's like, have you ever met a trans woman? No, it's okay. Well, hello.
I kind of find it funny. I've been on Skeptic Haven. Maya, you've known me the longest out of all of the three of you. I've been on all these channels. No one has ever asked me to be on Transatlantic. And there's only like 4 trans guys in our entire fucking community.
Yeah.
No one has ever, all the streaming I've done, no one has ever asked me. It's
No,
just
Bree said the
bizarre.
same thing, and she's got
They
a
didn't ask
sizable
Bree
channel.
either?
No.
She does way more content. I mean, I'm not talking about recently. I'm talking about like a year ago when I was active all the time and doing oxic transmasculinity.
And I mean,
no,
you had like really
I think
close
it's
proximity
I
to
think
Ben.
it's really kind of
Ben was on there. They never asked.
Yeah, no, and Ben was smaller than you at the time. That Ben.
I made him popular. I know. People forgot that part.
Yeah, the way
I
they've
stole it
got it
from
set up
I
now.
don't want to get into YouTube personality wars and all of the struggles and all of that shit because really, at the end of the day, I believe, I've always thought, you do what you can, where you can, when you can. And sometimes the stars align, sometimes they don't. And I've been in enough circumstances where the stars aligned and then the stars went out of focus, like I am now. This fucking camera, I don't, I don't know. You just guess roll with the changes a little bit. It's just and if things roll around again, great. If they don't, great. But it's like, God knows this is not real life.
I just want to say real quick,
this is
I'm not
taking real life.
I don't want anybody to think that sounded horrible. I'm not taking total credit for Ben. I just got his name out there.
No.
The rest, he is brilliant. I mean, I don't get along with him. He's way too mature for me, and he's got a lot of growing up to do. He's brilliant, and in about 10, 15 years, he's going to be an amazing fucking person. His family has fucked him up, and he just is he's an emotional mess sometimes. And so he just needs time. And once he gets there, oh my God, dude, he's going to be such an amazing person. He's already an amazing doctor. I'm just saying that he's also going to be an amazing person too, because he's going to have all his shit together. And I am so
Beck.
excited for him, and I want him to succeed so
Beck,
badly.
I don't want to go there. Okay, I'm gonna.
No,
shut
that's
that
all I'm
down.
saying. What? Go where? Because I'm complimenting him?
I
I'm sorry.
I just no.
I
I
won't do it
just don't
anymore.
want. I don't
What are you talking about?
want.
I think people have a problem with you naming names.
I don't want to go
I
there.
was compliment. Oh my God, you guys!
It's
Seriously,
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Beck, it's okay.
I'm
It's-
complimenting
I
somebody
respect,
who hates
I
my
respect
guts.
Beck. I respect the fuck out of
What
you.
the fuck is that?
I respect the fuck out of Ben. I respect the fuck out of a whole bunch of people. I just don't want to get into personalities.
You're right.
Okay?
I'm sorry. I will not compliment anybody, and I will not say that somebody's going to be an amazing person soon. You're right.
Well, I mean, everybody is
I won't
already
lift
an amazing.
anybody up.
Everybody's already an amazing person.
Everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah, right. And everybody's been fucked
And
up by their family,
it ebbs
and we
and
don't
it-
need to call
Oh,
it
yeah.
out. We don't need to call it out. You know,
Everybody
Everybody's in the
knows
same
that. He
boat.
talks about it openly. I
don't
did
need to
not
talk
say
about it here,
anything that he
though.
hasn't said 50 times.
I-
Literally.
We don't need to talk about it here. He's
Don't
not
need
here.
it
All
right now.
Okay. Everybody have a good night. Love y'all.
Okay.
right,
Love you
Steph, it's
too.
been fun. Thanks for hosting the after party.
Stupid shit.
Oh, you're welcome.
Amber, you
It's
got
been
anything
fun.
coming up?
Oh, I'm always up to nonsense. When I'm not bouncing from people's streams to Neil's to here to there to everywhere.
Oh yeah, your shadowed stream.
I appreciate you coming by, Amber. It's really
Yeah.
been it's great having you around.
Yeah.
Shout out stream
Um,
really made a stir in the community.
Oh yeah, where the creators you might not have heard of. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still discovering there's a lot. I knew there were a bunch that I didn't know about. And after that,
And
people
then
have
they-
been telling me. So yeah, I'm doing a part
Yeah.
2 next week. I've got a
Yeah, I saw
another
that.
list of more people, and then I'm going to do an open room at the end, so other people can mention people that I don't know about. So that should be really fun.
Thanks for being a great sport. The people that you did mention, I know they were just really flattered and really appreciated it. So thanks for being an
I
asset to the
certainly
community.
am. Like, that's like Jesus Christ. It's like I ain't nobody.
Well, that's the thing is like you're, Steph, you're in like every part of the community. You're all over the line. You're on Maya's channel. You're in everybody's chats, and so many people had no idea you even have a channel. And I'm like,
Really?
we got to fix this, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I don't do much, but I've had there are a couple of things I'm proud of. One of them is critiquing Hofstadter, but it's just Jesus. And I am a dilettante. I'm a simple woman. I'm a sailmaker. You know, that's what I do. And to be quite honest, a lot of this stuff has taken me away from really concentrating on stuff I should be doing. But it's so it's of deep concern to me the way things are going in the world right now. And it's particularly of deep concern that hundreds of thousands of people are hearing bullshit, including from progressives, atheists,
Yeah.
people who haven't really pick up the tip of trans issues, who really don't grasp what they're talking about and don't reach out and actually ask people who've been through that stuff what's going on. And I hate to be I don't want to be that person that is an asshole. Like, I'm not going to speak for every trans person who ever existed. I certainly won't speak for the experiences of trans guys because that ain't me. Ben would say the same thing. Probably Beck would too. And in the vice versa thing. But for people on the outside to presume to make commentary and not recognize their own blind spots when it comes to engaging in discourse with people who have experienced all of that stuff is something that really is deeply disturbing, especially when said people have 310,000 followers
and has such a huge reputation. Oh, if Sabine says it, it's science,
Right. Well, there's Sabine. There's also rationality rules. It's like, dude did a tremendous stream decided to jump back into the trans topic again after a rather poor debut in 2018, but decides to drop into the trans topic again and does a tremendous job in analyzing the whole issue of epistemology as regards definitions and all of this other stuff. And that's great. But one tiny thing in his stream, and I know I might be nitpicking, is contrasting a story about gender affirming surgeries with a story about the Russian Federation outlawing trans people's very existence. And when you're comparing, when you're even bringing it into the discussion, when you're comparing 2,330 people in the United States having genital reconstructive surgery, trans people having genital reconstructive surgery, and mind you, not everyone who has genital reconstructive surgery is trans. But trans people, according to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, is 2,300 or so, both trans men and trans women, to an entire fucking nation. Seems to me to really kind of queer the deal. When the point you're trying to make, which is an admirable point, that, these definitions and all of this other stuff, but when the rubber meets the road, the problem I have with most cis people's discussion of these issues is they don't see where the rubber meets the road, or they mistake the amount of rubber that is meeting the road. And they tend to elide the impact on individual lives, even if they give lip service to being concerned about them. So, to the extent that I'm an activist, I'm going to call that shit out.
Yeah, it's a big problem in across a huge variety of areas. There's been a lot of counter activists who their whole thing is listen to people's own voices instead of speaking for them, because there's so many issues where people they will get outraged on somebody else's behalf, or wave away an issue on somebody else's behalf. Like, for example, the school that I went to recently had to change their mascot. New York passed a law saying schools couldn't have Native American themed mascots, which is probably long overdue. But the controversy that was going on leading up to that change was absolutely incredible. There were a bunch of white people saying the Native Americans are very offended by this. And there were a few other white people saying, no, the Native Americans aren't offended by this. And no one asked the fucking Native Americans. Oh, you're muted, Steph.
Stuff.
That's why that's why these conversations tend to be rather difficult, because it's like you sit there and it's like, and then you wind up looking like a heartbeat of some nature. It's a. I wish I wasn't such a. Sometimes I am a heartbeat. I gotta admit.
Well, the way I think about it is, I only took a couple of classes in psychology, but it seems to me when a person feels strongly about something, they usually have a goddamn good reason for it. So maybe find out what the reason is before you judge them about being a harpy or overly obsessive or whatever other pejoratives you care to throw out, you know?
So, all right. We're going to wind this thing up. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. Jesus Christ, that's a long time.
Yeah, I am turning into a pumpkin. I gotta go.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I will see everybody in the chat on Sunday.
But Maya, and we'll be doing Bad
open
Science
stream.
Sunday.
Yeah, Bad Science Sunday. I'm thinking Monday. I really don't want to step on Beck's toes on Monday, but like I think trying to get everybody else in, it's just like every other day is really bad. So I'm either thinking Monday or Friday. But Ember will be there because Ember is
200
sub
stream?
open stream. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So much community come in, and let's be a community together.
Yeah, let's make it happen. We've got an awful lot of work to do, I think. And Ember, what do you got going on?
Like I said, a bunch of stuff. Next thing is tomorrow I do a debate review with Mark Reed over on his channel. Saturday, Aaron Ra's still traveling, so no Blasphemers Bible. So instead of my normal Saturday morning video, I'm releasing Eric Hovind Blows Minds the movie, which is all 7 parts put together into one video. Sunday, I've got Off the Chain Atheist stopping by for Atheist Lives right before Bad Science Sunday. Monday, I've got Answers in Atheism dropping by. I've got more stuff. I have a lot lot coming
That's
up.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Okay.
Ember's got a lot to say, and
yeah. Oh,
follow Ember if you haven't done it. Follow Maya if you haven't done.
Better
Maya's
than Ember.
Better than Ember. And for me, I'm I guess my next thing, unless I do another one of these crazy things where I jump in and get cuckoo, is Skeptic Haven on Saturday with Women Atheists Unload, and we'll be talking about misogyny. I was like, it's very, just kind of
one of my favorite topics.
It's one of those things. And there's good panel lined up. I think Cynthia McDonald's is there, and maybe Mindy Thomas, and a number of people. I don't know. It all lines up together. But I appreciate everyone coming by here, and I know Mikey's streaming.
Mikey is, and Dick is doing the after party.
or the after party after
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I checked on Mikey briefly. Apparently he's doing a gaming stream.
Yes.
Yep.
He's on Twitch and YouTube.
That's where he does.
At Mikey Famine.
Yep. I don't know if I've been following the side chat very much, but I appreciate all you guys stopping by and all of your support. My links are in the comments, and
By Stephanie
well,
Coffee.
actually, on this stream, they're not there yet, but they will be shortly. And I'm bad at that shit.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm bad at all of this shit. So, but not as bad as Tapioca Weasel, who doesn't do this shit.
At least you try. At least you try. All right, I'm turning into a pumpkin. I'm saying bye to everybody.
All right. Good night, Miss Pumpkin.
Good night,
Steph.
everybody.